Hey guys, welcome back to the part two of how to build a sales process and grow your distribution. So this one is just for FAQ, where I pick questions from all the suppliers that have sent me questions, and I will be answering these questions. So this is 100% FAQ, a lot of value here. So check the questions out, and I'll try to answer as clearly as I can. Here's one question. What info is important to include in a pitch deck when approaching a potential distributor? What you need to include in a pitch deck, or when you're meeting a supplier face to face, or when you're doing a Zoom call, are these points. So try to see the context of the room, try to see where you are, and try to see the time that you have, and then include all this in a very structured format, and try to go over it as that is the point here. Because those are the things that they're really looking for. From a supplier partner. Profit story. What is your profit story? How are distributors going to make money? Why they should carry, your brand as far as the markup goes, as far as the gap in the portfolio goes, and how they will make money off their customers as well. So when they sell and take your product to the retail, how are they going to make money, and how are their customers going to make money? So selling the profit story, you can literally write the word profit story for your customer and for you. What is the return on investment for retail customer? Pretty much the same thing, why their account should buy this product. So a very important slide that a distributor should be aware of, and you can address this on why their customer should also stock your product. Convenience, why you are a convenient supplier. By that, they can reach out to you anytime that you're giving them a printed point of sale material, that you are at their service, you are handling freight, you are a very convenient supplier to deal with. You are giving good credit terms. Convenience can come in many ways. You can come and do market work when they also need immediately. You can support with store tastings immediately, and so on. Minimum order quantity. So, you are offering great minimum order mix and match deals. So mix and match palette on all your varietals is a good deal. How much you will help them sell. So you can include a slide where it says how you will help them sell your brand. And that can be market work 2 times a week, 2 times a year, case goods, getting key accounts in the market for them, and so on. Are you a likable supplier? Do they do their sales rep like you? Do their accounts like you? Do the ownership like you? Those are the 3 things that you really need to focus on. Samples policy. Are you giving 5% sample policy? Are you giving 10% samples? Are you, not a micromanager on how your samples are being used? Marketing policy. Similarly, it's the same thing as marketing. How are you giving free case deals to their accounts for bigger displays and other marketing support that you're doing? Pickup location, very important. Where is your pickup location if you're opening new states within the US? Is it West Coast, East Coast? Do they already do business at that pickup location? Because then you're offering convenience. For example, Western Carrier, New Jersey, or Napa is a big warehouse where pretty much a lot of small and medium wholesalers send their trucks every week. So storing your wines in that pickup location will be a very convenient thing for your potential distributor. Pallet configuration, is it a 67 case pallet in a very different packaging, or is it a standard 12 bottles of 750 ml 60 case pallet, and so on, right? So standardization for pallet is also important, because that's how they'll fill their trucks or vans. Access to chains. Do you have brand ambassadors, or do you have connections to get them chains? Is that a good carrot? Because that is one of the most important carrots you can offer. So you showing them that you already have relationships with this regional and national chains, or you have an ability or capacity financially also to support this kind of things. That is a big sell as well. Point of sale material. Do you have, are you professional, that you understand the terminology of the trade or the state they are working in, like chef talkers, case cards, sell sheets, those kind of things, house for restaurant cards, bar mats. So you need to really give them finished point of sale, because that then again you're offering convenience. If you give artwork, a lot of small and medium-sized distributors don't have the capacity to make in-house printing. Do you have a brand or a winning portfolio, right? So do you have more brands that they envision adding as we grow the partnership, right? So right now you may just want to start with 3 SKUs, but if your entire portfolio as a supplier is about 20 brands, then ultimately you want to show that as well, that this is how we want to partner with you. What are distributors looking for when selecting a brand? Okay, so here are the things that distributors look for in a supplier. How many states you are in, how is your penetration in the current markets? Have you got a proven history of good sales? Some data like Nielsen, if they are a big wholesaler, is your category or product in demand? Is it going to grow? For example, maybe non-alcoholic brands people are looking for these days. So are you a good category fit? Third is, are you filling a gap in the portfolio? Maybe they just don't have any Shiraz from Australia, or maybe if they have Australia, then they don't have Barossa Valley. So if you are filling a gap in their portfolio, if they are an Australian importer, for example, and you come up with something different from Australia, let's say orange wine from Australia, so then you are adding something there as well. So filling a gap in the portfolio is one of the most important things that they would be looking for. Can be the price gap, can be the category gap, can be something that their retailer is asking. So those are some important things that they would be looking for. Pallet configuration, pickup location, and cost of their freight to bring your goods in. In-market support, like how many times market visits you can do, brand ambassadors, store tastings that you are offering, sample policy, marketing policy, top line advertising dollars. And then if you have access to chains, like can you bring in some key accounts? Can you help them grow business into some key accounts, let's say from one shelf placement to a floor stack, or maybe from a 5 case to a 25 case drop. So do you have some leverage there in building their customer base as well? Point of sale and packaging, very important that your cases are packed in a strong, sturdy 12-pack case, in a standard case. If it's not a 6-pack versus a 12-pack, 12-pack 750 ml, for example, makes a lot of sense because it's standardized, and that's how they're used to. For a 6-pack, their cost goes up as well, because a lot of times storage companies do charge by case instead of by weight. So these are the things that distributors are looking for. And needless to say, the product, the quality, the price, the passion of the entrepreneur, the story behind the brand, and things like that. As an emerging brand, how do you put in programs to ensure increased distribution while maintaining your base? If you are already in the current market and you want to grow your sales in the current market, or you want to, that's your objective, for example. So what kind of things fall into that objective, and you got to incentivize to meet those objectives? Now, for example, you want to open new accounts still. So you come up with let's say in March, you throw an incentive of $5 a case to the sales rep, or $50 for every new placement in an account where your product is not placed. So that is a kickoff that you can do, that, hey, distributor, I want to roll this plan so we can open new accounts. And you give $50 on each placement to their sales reps. That is one example. Second is you tell them that any store that has been buying a case and have your products on the shelf, you're looking to get 3 case stack on the floor. And then you have a $50 sort of Amex or Visa card for the sales rep or for the retailer. And you back it up with a deal as well. So you, Mr. Retailer, you buy 5 case and you get 1 case free, right? Wherever it's legal. And so you give the deal to the retailer, you give the deal to the sales rep. So that's your another sort of way to grow your current sales. The third is a secondary placement incentive. So for example, if you already have a stack and placement on the floor and you're looking for a secondary placement for your whites in the refrigerator, then you need to come up with secondary placement incentives. Then fourth can be house pour. If you are in the menu, you need a house pour program. So you incentivize the restaurant and the sales rep for getting house pour programs. For restaurant, you can do quantity deals, quarterly or yearly deals that, okay, you buy 20 cases and I'll do $100 once you deplete 100 cases. Then there's the depletion allowance, which is one of the best things, because you pay them on depletions, right? So you make an annual deal with the retailer that if you sell 50 cases in a year, I'll give you $200 MX card or $500 MX card, right? So you do depletion rate-based allowances. So these are the things that you can put in place to grow your distribution in the current markets that you are in. We are looking for a stat. Which state would be the best for Irish Spirit to target? And is it possible to focus on one distributor partner? So absolutely. I mean, if you're starting, you should focus with just one or two distributors. And especially if you're an international brand, which I'm reading here, if you are, let's say importing or are a producer from Ireland, then absolutely you would need an importer. But let's say you are, in this case, Dublin City Spirits, maybe you are an importer importing Irish spirit. So you can just focus on, needless to say, states that have highest, a population of Irish people, for example, can be Illinois. Let's say that they have a lot of Irish pubs as well. So, right. So you can see the states that are two-tier, and Chicago is a great example where Illinois, basically, where you have importer and that party can be a distributor as well. And if you are an importer, for example, obviously to win in your own home state where your license is the best way to approach and grow. So I think by population of the type of the category that you're trying to bring in, where your end consumers are, is a good way to start. Maybe also a lot of ethnic retailers, where they are based, the mom and pop retailers with that origin, you can start there as well. And you can start knocking doors there. And then, overall, the standard big 5 states of US has a lot of sort of a mixed population, right? Like New York, Florida, California, Illinois. So absolutely, these 3 or 4 states will have great diversity as well. Sid's recommendation for getting distributors and retailers buy-in for a new liquor type. How to introduce an emerging region into the US wine market? I think you need to, it's very tough if something is new or if you're trying to come up with some niche product. You need to find some retailers that are used to introducing brands. There are some retailers that really want to show that they are first in bringing your brand or in the category. So you can use that approach where, hey, John, I know that you are, you're trying to support small brands, and I always see some boutique products here. I would love to talk about a placement and some promo, because I'm really looking to build 5 accounts in the market to build this category. And then you build a category with them. You do a lot of social media, you do interviews with them, you have him talk about that why people should come in his store to buy this farm spirits, and then you push that message out as well. So you use those 5 people as an educational partner, and that's what you can also tell them that I'll be using you a lot, so you will get a lot of traction. I'll be creating new consumers, and then you also can do social media that, hey, Palm Spirit is coming to Florida, for example. Go to John's store. We're doing the store tastings. Come and taste what's it all about. I'll be explaining you the Palm Spirit. We have a Palm Spirit masterclass happening. So you try to put in the educational angle there as well. And then all your point of sale material in the retailer should be based on educating that category as well, right? So what is Palm Spirit? Can be a great shelf talker or a case card that you can tell the retailer that, hey, I've made the case cards and point of sale in an educational way, so you don't have to do the hand selling to that consumer. Maybe they'll just read and they'll try. And I think one last point is how do you get the distributors? It's pretty much getting 5 retailers on board and then taking that approach that, hey, I have this 5, 6 retailers who will support this new category, and then talking to the distributor. I have a new legacy brand that I'm starting direct consumer and looking to go into California and Oregon. What would be the best way to find the distributor? I mean, pretty much if you just hear my previous part 1, that has a lot of sales process in a methodological way of approaching a market, a cold calling way to approach a market. So please check that out. It's the same topic and part 1 video. How you can know if a distributor will work for you and how many distributors you can work with. Very interesting question. So how do you know if a distributor will work for you? So I'm assuming that, let's say you've started a business with a distributor and you've got your first purchase order, but then you're not seeing much of attraction. So how do you know if distributors still interested in working with you, or that what are the signs or cues that you can see on their motivation with you, for example? I think financial motivation is one of the most important thing, and depletion reports. So if you see that your product is being depleted from their customers, which is their accounts, where they have placed your product, that is a number one sign that they will not work for you if that's not moving. So you need to really pay attention to that data. So every month, ask your distributors for depletion reports. Go through the accounts where your products are based, and look at the depletion report. So if usually, let's say it should be at least in the wine. If you placed one case in a retail account, you should be selling 8 bottles to 10 bottles a month. Otherwise, it's a slow moving product, and then you're creating a problem. So before they decide that they have checked you out, and that can happen very fast if you just ghost it out, right? So you have to be proactive to look at the data from the depletion and say, hey, John, I've identified this 10 accounts that the product is not moving. Let me come and help you. So I'll do store tastings. Can you arrange this Friday and next Saturday? For example, I'll you give them the calendar that I'll come and do 10 store tastings. You tell these accounts and you block my dates, and I'll do a nice tasting to make sure the product is depleted. Those kind of things is very important because before they even start thinking that they don't want to work you or they don't like you, you've already won the retailer and won the distributor. So if you make sure by depletion of your own product, you're always on top of that, you will sort of always be a likable supplier, and that means they will want to work with you. And how many distributors can you work with? So, I'm just assuming, let's say, the question from Dan from St. Eva Hill Vineyard here. So maybe he's just one or two people RV, right? So it depends on the size of the business that you are as well and what you can handle. So, if you think that your time is producing the same result as if you would work with 2 distributors, meaning, let's say, if you are making the same money with 2 distributors and making the same money with 10 distributors, and your time is better deployed there, then you obviously would want to touch more distributors. Ultimately your goal, and at the same time, like, distributors don't want you every month, right? So you have to limit, your face time or the effort that you're putting in the market. I think you can easily work with 20 distributors, 20. If you allocate once a week or twice a week market visit in that region. So once you're in the East Coast, let's say you drive to New Jersey, to Delaware, Maryland, you can cover some market work there as well. So you can do regional strategy. But as long as if they are all near each other, you can easily do 20 states. And I think we got to understand the classic word that has been used in the industry is managing the distributor, or work managing the account, for example. That doesn't exist anymore. Distributors don't need management, and those days are gone because you are not Miller or Yellowtail or Budweiser, right? So you don't need to manage a distributor. What you really need is a salesperson on the floor, knocking doors in the distributors market and handing them accounts and doing store tastings and things like that. So an actual sales rep. So based on that, you decide how much you can do, right? So if you have, in today's distribution landscape, you have to put a lot of work. So I think maybe 4 or 5 distributors and states is more than enough, if you really want to build and penetrate the brand. How can I get new customers if the distributors I have are not filling to? Interesting question. So how do you get new retail accounts if your distributors are no more willing to push your brand, for example? Let's assume that is a question here from, Paula. You just have to pack your suitcase, put your samples in the car, and do the ride. And then you tell the distributors, hey, I understand, maybe things, you are busy, and I really want to make sure that, our relationship and partnership grows, and allow me to come in the market, knock doors, and I will hand in all this business and accounts to you. So you build that way. You have to rebuild the trust, and then you maybe after 2-3 days of handing them 50 accounts and doing some market work and store tastings in their market, you have a dinner or a lunch, and then you say, How can I help you regain your trust, and how can I make you willing to sell my product? You have an open conversation. Once you have handed them some orders and business. And for example, if they're still not willing to, then you need to have a conversation that, hey, if you really are checked out of my brand, then maybe give me an exit later and let's talk about me taking my brand to someone else. And that's fair enough as well. So you need to have a distributor who is really bought into your passion and who will want to take your product and knock doors. But at the same time, you do that with them. Or if they're just not willing to absolutely do anything for your brand and you've tried everything, then it's time to sort of make a plan B and go to another distributor in a way that everyone is happy. How does the distribution work within the US, and what is an average price point for wines? A pretty big question, but I'll just answer in a very simple way. Distribution business in the US is a business which is meant to service and sell to retailers. So for them, their accounts, which is restaurants, bars, and retailers, are the most important thing. The second most important thing is their sales reps. Now, they are a sales machine. They are a sales engine. And the third is their logistics, their trucks, their warehouse, and their operations. As far as how they see a brand, you are one case and you are a profit contribution per case. For sure, there is a story, there is a whole passion that comes in the business, but they make money by dollar contributions and case movements. So the faster your product moves and the more margins they contribute per case, that's their business model. And to fulfill and service their retailer needs forever, right? So if their account says, I don't want to buy Barossa Valley Shiraz and I bring me Moscato from Italy or Prosecco from Italy, then that is it. Now they're not going to bother spoiling their relationship with that account by pushing your Australian wine over the Prosecco of Italy, right? Because they also have that. So for them, the priority is to grow their current retail accounts, whatever it takes in that. And that's a sort of a distribution business. With these days, they also, for them, some of the challenges is, sales reps, getting hiring and motivating sales reps. And then the second biggest challenge is to collect money from the retail and to grow their products in the retail accounts they have and to grow new retail accounts that they have. So they do have 20% of their business is also in collections and collecting the money, and a lot of things and a lot of time goes in that as well. What's the best way to get started into selling your own label? I think it's the same question as any other brand would have. So, you just have a private label, but you would have to do the same story that even a winery or a distillery has. But for example, let's say in your case, I think I may know you, let's say, so in your case, let's say you are an influencer or you have a good following on Instagram, and then you're looking to do your own private label. In your case, for example, I believe that you are the main person that you are selling, right? So maybe a story, your own passion, your own reason of coming up with your own story of your private label will be a big thing. And if you are a digital platform first, like Instagram brand, for example, that you want to build a wine brand and direct to consumer, I'm assuming in your case, it will be your main primary sales channel. Then you have to see what packaging looks good on the internet. I've done this myself because I've made brands for consumer selling as well. So it's a very different science. You have to understand from the shelf versus Instagram or direct to consumer or internet brand. What looks good on the computer or the mobile phone. So you have to look at those kind of things and come up with a sales strategy. You have to come up with a sales strategy, marketing strategy first, and then work reverse on the packaging and the branding and the name. What is the perception of South African wines in the US market, and at which price points can South African wines compete at? I think there are many more experts in this. If I was you and if I was launching into the South African category, I would contact top 10 importers from South Africa. I think Rob, I know one forgot, Cape Classics is his company, is one of the best South African wine importers. So you would want to contact him saying that, hey, I just want to pick your brain, 2 hours of consultation, and I'll pay you $500. And I'm not here to sell you anything. I just want to pick your brain because I'm launching a South African brand, but I want to hear on what I should not do based on your experience, right? So you should spend that money. You should do that consultation with 1 or 2 big importers. At the same time, you have that connection then, right? So it's going to be handy. Second, coming back to the answer, I have also had an Australian private, South African private label. I've sold South African wines myself. So my experience was 7.99 to 11.99 is the category how the South African wines are perceived. Pinotage and Chenin Blanc is how it's being limited at. So it falls into a value to a mid category. It falls into Pinotage and Chenin Blanc category still, I think. It falls into a very specific label that they expect a South African wine should look like. It falls into still a niche category. I don't think many liquor stores have South Africa written on it, so it still falls into other countries or New World or things like that. So unfortunately, and then still, if it's not from a big main region, there is a challenge there as well, right? So this is how, unfortunately, still the South African wines are perceived. But I'm seeing, we just had a great meeting with Wines of South Africa in ProWine this March. So I'm seeing a lot of push from South African wines, and I think there is a lot of opportunity in the private label in the bulk as well. So you can use that as well. But I think that's my answer to the question. Is it still worthwhile exhibiting at large wine spirits events? I think good question, and we ourselves do a lot of trade shows, as you may know. I myself see a lot of. I think this question can be answered in a supply-demand business landscape. So for us, we see still a lot of supply, a lot of exhibitors, and less buyers, right? So there are very less channels, if you think about it, still to find a buyer in the US market. So the answer is yes, because of the main reason is there is what else you're going to do. There is just not much ways of actually doing a quality FaceTime or gatherings or networks or conferences that happen where this 50, 100, 200, 500 sort of buyers walk in. The right question, which I've been thinking lately, is what are you going to do? How are you leveraging your spend when if you're exhibiting at an event? So one of the good things that came to my mind is trade shows are to sort of not find deals for customers. They are to close deals. They are to grow their current accounts. They are to show them that you are here again and serious about the market. So use trade shows in a very strategic way. For example, I'll give you one simple example. I did Pro Wine this time, and we're planning WinExpo Paris as well. In for our London competition, for example. So for me, the booth is like 1/10 of the thing. The whole drive, 6-month drive to sort of say and create excitement to this company that we are coming, we are coming, we're coming. I'm here, meeting, lunch, dinner, beer, wine meetings, non-stop meetings after the trade show hours, at the trade show hours. I'm so busy at my booth because I've already packed my meetings, right? And then the follow up, and then using little happy hour that, okay, we have this book, this happy hour, 2 hours at this bar, my customers, please come there. So it's how you sort of use it. It has a much bigger leverage than your 2 days of sort of coming. So for example, if I'm doing WinExpo Paris or Pro Wine Germany, or let's say our own show, USA Trade Tasting Chicago, then I will make sure the whole world knows that I'm exhibiting, I'm coming, and I'm creating a noise overall in the community. That then it's worth it because you're using that leverage as a marketing, instead of just saying, I want to sell, I want to sell. So the KPI here should be how many meetings you are also setting around the trade show, and during the trade show, before the trade show, after the trade show. What is the best way to get detail of the wine buyers in the USA? A golden question. I think still it's Google. If you're asking distributors, one of the best way is, let's say, to go to TTD website and see the licenses that are published there, and then Googling the name, because you won't get the detail, like the emails of the buyers. So you will have to Google, but at least the names. The names of all the licenses in each state, which is there, on the ABC websites, which is the Alcohol Bureau, for example, of each state, and then TTB, which is the national So you can find at least the licensed accounts. The second thing is the obvious, the Google, the LinkedIn, the Instagram. You're going to start building. LinkedIn is a pretty good thing because you can, once the connection is done, you can see the email as well. So you can every day you can connect with new buyers, and then you can start building. I think database building and list building is so much underestimated. This whole approach of data strategy, CRM, list building, every time even I failed. But when I look at the smart Silicon Valley or the companies that have done similar or big businesses with 1/10 of the size that we have, let's say at BTN, that question comes because they're working so smart, and they're working through data, and they're working through CRM, they're working through lists, they're working through systems. So I think if you are a small supplier, you should have a good database. It all starts there. And how to get database? I've just told you 3 or 4 ways, but these are the ways. Unfortunately, the people who are selling the list are all uh, crap and spams. So don't buy those list or solicitation emails that you see that, okay, I've got a list of Illinois liquor stores. Do you want to buy? Do you want to buy a list of Pro Wine? Do you want to buy a list of Vinexpo? Do you want to buy a list of IBWSS, USA Trade Tasting? These are all spams. Trade shows, I know because we ourselves are an organizer, never sells a list of their sort of buyers and attendees. Where do you see the best opportunities for distribution for a heritage brand new to the US market? Interesting question again. You are a legacy brand or a heritage brand in your own country, or trying to get into the market. I think you need to identify distributors who are working with this kind of brands, and that's very easy to see. So one of the simplest way is to find 10 of the companies that are similar to you, go to their distributors and importers page, see who their importers and distributors are, and then start contacting them. And then you will start a loop where you will see more suppliers like you will see more distributors pages on their distribution page, and then you will see the portfolio, and then you will see more suppliers on their portfolios. A classic example, let's say instead it's Raj Tabarwal, who is glass beverage importers. Now, I know him because he's so passionate about bringing heritage brands and legacy brands who have generations of history, and that's what he always wants and prefers to do and add in his portfolio. So, like that, there are many importers and distributors that you can identify, at least 100, I would say, in the US. But then the thing is, you need to have a very high closing ratio because you can't afford to have some will, some won't, so what, who's next approach, because these are just limited companies that you would want to close well. I have a small but relatively successfully specialty bottled spirits gift range in the UK that can be found in storefronts across the UK. Importantly, it doesn't compete directly with traditional spirits brand. How do I target US distribution with such a product in the USA? I mean, why reinvent the wheel, when you already have a process and a spiel and a formula and a strategy? So UK and US are the most similar sort of countries you would find. So in fact, if you would have said China or India, and then now I want to do US, it's a little different thing, but absolutely do the same thing. In fact, what I'm assuming is you can go to the stores first and then do the reverse engineering and find the distributor who will clear for you, because of the 3-tier system. You don't really need, a distributor unless they buy into the concept, and it's an add-on. In fact, a very different thing that you are adding to the portfolio. In fact, all portfolios have a gap of a supplier like you. I would be very excited to sort of talk about your product and sell to the distributors, to the retailers, because you are an add-on. You are in the gift category, and you are more of a seasonal category. So you would want to have a narration or a story that, okay, Easter, Valentine's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving are the days where your products do very well, and those are the days retailers should sort of or distributors should take your product out to their accounts and so on. So I think it's a good complement that you are adding to the retail and the distribution landscape. And I'm assuming that's the strategy that you've used anyway in the UK. So follow the same strategy. And worst case, if you have some retailers and not distributors, there are distributors who will clear and fulfill the orders for you. Which trade shows and fairs work best to meet potential distributors? This is from Bodegas Importers. So I think for importers, for example, that there are not many trade shows that happen in the US. There are just few, as you may know. One of them is ours, USA Trade Tasting. It's a show where a lot of small and medium-sized importers can exhibit and meet the retailers, sommeliers, bartenders, and also the other state distributors. Then there is WSWA, which is the Wine Wholesalers Association's trade show, but that is more for the large show. And if you really are working with the Southern and the Biller Glazer network, because it's really those sort of people, it is the big wholesalers sort of, party. So I think if you have money to throw, and if you can afford an expensive sort of suite, that is a really good show, like $10,000 to $20,000 if you want to spend in entertaining your current distribution network, which is Southern and Glazers. I think that show is very good, because in that way you can do a lot of meetings with your current accounts and show a little bit and then throw them a little party. So that is perfect for that stage of a company. Then comes WinExpo New York, maybe that is also there. Again, that is for East Coast. If you really want to do a little bit on East Coast, I think similar to our show for Midwest, you can do that. These are the three. And then, sorry, one more is the NBWA, the National Beer Wholesalers Association. This is really good for the beer guys, but it's again for the big boys and girls sort of party. So it's where the Miller distribution network and the Budweiser distribution network, gathers. So if you are tapping into the beer wholesalers to find beer distributors, absolutely NBWA, the National Beer Wholesalers Association, has their own trade show as well. It's a very good show. I think I'm sure then you can Google, but these are the 4 or 5 trade shows that come to mind as far as you finding a distributor or a big retailer goes. Is Lipdi a good option? So for the folks that don't know, Lipdi's full form is liberal distribution. And they have come up with an idea where they have a network of distributors that will carry your product and clear your product, but you do the sales, right? So you get the retail accounts, the restaurants and the bars, but there is a network behind you that can fulfill those orders for you. So I think it's a good option, absolutely, as long as they don't ask for contracts and exclusivity. Till you're opening new states and finding your own distribution, you can at least knock doors, and the network can fulfill the orders for you. So there is a markup that they will charge, but at least you are getting started with the market. I would absolutely encourage, the company, very good, founded by Cheryl. So a very good company. If you're looking for introduction, do let me know, and email me at sid@beveragetradenetwork.com, and I'm happy to introduce you to Lipdi as well, or you can reach out to them directly. But overall, I think looking at the current landscape of self-distribution, that is a very good option. What is the best way for a Portuguese wine producer to get a great importer and distributor in the USA? I think similar to most of my answers and my part 1 of this deck, but the answer is as simple as I think you may see it is coming out as, but you have to Google Portuguese wine importers in the USA, Portuguese wine distributors. You have to find some brands that are similar to yours, some wineries that are similar to yours, open them in Google, see those wineries, 20 or wineries from Portugal, similar to yours, look at their distribution page, look at their importers page, find the distributors, and then you have your 50, 60 sort of potential importers and distributors that that work with Portuguese wines, right? That is one very good way. Then I think Wines of Portugal also does some programs here and there. They will have their tastings. So you can absolutely be part of that program as well. But I think those are some 2 main things. The third can be really, finding out and identifying some retailers that carry a lot of Portuguese wines, Portuguese wine influencers, build 50 or 60 people like that who are pushing Portuguese wines in educational format and to the consumers, and then ask them that, hey, can you introduce me to some importer or distributor? I want to pick your brain. I'll be happy to pay you a paid consultation, how to position it, and use them as well a little bit to influence the connections and get some doors open for you. What the importers are looking for in new wineries: is there an alternate networks where to find new distributors? What are the markets which are still active and attractive. So I think pretty much it's a similar question that I've already addressed in what are the distributors looking for. So here are some points that you can see. The second is what are the markets which are still active and attractive. I think US is still very, very strong. It's still bullish, and especially it's election year, and the economy is just looking strong. Despite this whole inflation, interest rates, it's sustaining pretty well. So I think America is still my best pick as an attractive market. And when it comes to the developing nations, I think a lot of people are paying attention to Asia. So I would definitely look at that. And if you're talking about different states, then pretty much everything is hot these days in America. But I think if you told me which are the best three cities to target, then I think Houston, Chicago, New York looks attractive. This and their states are still very, very strong. You can also do a little Google like strong GDP states of US, and you will see that, okay, maybe Texas GDP contribution was 7% of the US economy versus maybe, Wisconsin's contribution was maybe 1%. And you will see the GDP rate of each state. And that is a good data to know that these states have no money problem, no consumer spending problem, right? So I know for a fact that Texas is a very, very strong state. Not many people know, in fact, stronger than New York when it comes to, the strength of that state of GDP, financials, and so on, per capita. So I think you can look at that data as well. All right, folks. So it looks like there are still a lot of questions. Hopefully I can do part 3, which is just an FAQ very soon. But until then, do check out this entire FAQ in this episode. And then there is a part 1, which also included about 10 questions, and also the sales process in a presentation format. So do check out these 2 videos. I think between these 2 videos, there is a lot of information out there on how you can grow your distribution, especially in the US market. All the best.